Hello and welcome to this very special online exclusive panel discussion when worlds collide with the cast and creatives of His Dark Materials, hosted by yours truly, Ali Plum, and presented by BFI and Radio Times Television Festival. His Dark Materials, of course, is returning to screen soon, and I am over the moon to be joined by some of the key cast and creative minds behind this adaptation of Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials novels. We rejoin Lyra Balakwa, who, distraught over the death of her best friend Roger, follows Lord Asriel, her father, into the unknown after he opens a bridge to a new world. We find Lyra in the strange city of Cittàgazze, where she meets Will, who is also running from a troubled past. Please let me introduce you to our panel today. There's executive producer Jane Tranter, writer Jack Thorne, Lyra herself, Dafne Keane, our Will, Amir Wilson, Mary Malone, that's Simone Kirby, and Lord Boreal himself, Arian Bakari. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so let's ask the big question. Where were we at the end of Series 1 and where are we heading at the beginning of Series 2?
So at the end of Season 1, Lyra and Pan were walking through a hole through the worlds that her father had created. She had lost her best friend and she was going in search of a thing called dust that has been teased throughout Season 1. In Season 2, Lyra finds herself in a completely different world, grieving for her best friend, and wanting to find out what dust is, because Lyra believes that if grown-ups think that dust is a bad thing, it's probably a good thing. And we find her in this strange world called Cittàgazze, and there she meets Will, who we've seen set up in our world in Season 1, and who we see disappear through a window in our world following a cat. That's as crazy as it is.
Jack, could you tell us a little bit about how you tackled the second book in your adaptation and what new characters you brought onto the screen?
It's a beautiful thing adapting Philip Pullman because his work is so dense and exciting. With this one, you sort of want to see the soul of the book, and you sort of want to ask the question, how can you bring that soul of the book out? And for us, the main question, the thing that we were focusing on beyond anything else, was that question of trust. So Lyra has trusted people all her life. She has always been able to form relationships with people very, very quickly. And then slowly through Series 1, we've seen that trust erode as she learnt to mistrust Mrs. Coulter. She learnt that Mrs. Coulter was her mother, and all these questions started to. And then at the end of Series 1, a man she admired, the grown-up she admired more than anyone else alive, her uncle, she discovered was her father, and then her father committed a heinous act. And she's now got to learn how to grow that trust again. And to help her in that, she has come across Will. And Will is someone that has never trusted easily. He was one of the things I most love about Philip's work is that the hero he found from our world was a teenage carer. And with his mother, he has learnt to mistrust the world. And now these two individuals have got to find a way of growing together and growing the bonds and the confidence that will allow them to fulfill their destiny.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. It's just, I've never seen a demon before. To me, demon means something evil.
Thanks.
You're not from here, are you? From this world? Me neither. How did you get here?
I crossed through a window that my father made.
You? I followed a cat through a hole in the air. It sounds mad.
So there are 3 worlds and 2 windows, all connected to here.
Look, I know this world doesn't make sense. And I don't know whether I'm odd for not having a demon or you're odd for having one. But maybe we could look around together. The 3 of us.
That's the best idea I've heard all day.
Daphne, how do you begin to tackle where Lyra's at the beginning of this? Because to say it's complicated is to maybe not have the right word.
Well, you start at this point where she's quite literally in a different world. She knows nothing. We find her in the middle of the mountains, alone, with just Pan. She can't trust the alethiometer anymore. She can't trust anyone. Her only family, which was basically Roger, is now gone. And so we find her in this really, really horrible place. She's grieving for Roger, and she stumbles across Will, who she doesn't trust because, as Jack said, it's impossible to trust anyone anymore. And I think season 2 is all about Will and Lyra having to open up again and figure out who they can open up to and who they can't, and who they can trust and who they can't, and figuring out that basically they have got each other's backs, and that in this crazy world of adult materials, no one else has their back except for both of them. And yeah, it was really, it's a friendship story. It's about these two people getting to know each other and care for each other.
Is there a certain amount of fun in playing with the fact that your character doesn't know all these things we take for granted?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I had so many fun scenes where I had to pretend I didn't know what some medical things were, and where I didn't know what phones were, a cinema scene. It was really crazy. It was really fun. I had to go into Oxford and pretend things were really exciting when it's just a phone, you know.
You hungry? I made an omelette. If you have omelettes in your bowl.
So you're a kitchen boy then?
What?
In your world, you're a kitchen boy.
No.
What's in this?
Egg. I'm guessing you don't use cutlery in your world either.
Very funny. It's good. The omelette.
Does Pan need to eat too? Some cheese or...
No. He's a demon.
But thank you for the offer.
I've never had to explain a demon before. It's a part of me. He's me and I'm him, I guess.
You'll soon understand.
How long have you been here?
A couple of days. You?
3 days. I was thinking, maybe we're better off sticking together from now on.
You want me to stay? To set up camp here?
I meant we should explore together. I didn't mean you should move in.
Probably easier though, isn't it? Now that we're sticking together.
So Amma, you joined the show and you've essentially got to very quickly become fast friends with Daphne. What's the trick? If you want to become good mates with Daphne, is it, where do you go, what do you do?
Well, Daphne hates me, so I don't know how to go. I'm joking. I don't know what to say. I think, Daphne, go rock climbing. We got to do that a lot. Weekly, we'd go rock climbing. I think that was a good way to get to know each other. And me and Daphne lived like a 5-minute walk away from each other. And next to us was this Butte Park, which is like this huge park in Cardiff. And it was really lovely. We got to go on walks there daily. And yeah, it was good. That's how we kind of got to know each other.
Amma, what was it like finding that fine line, walking that fine line of reacting to the wonder of Cittàgazze? Was it quite easy considering the incredible sets that you had surrounding you?
Yeah, I think the sets definitely helped me kind of visualize it and kind of be there in the moment. I mean, when it comes to actually like walking through the portals and stuff, it's harder because like I'm kind of just, as I said before, just looking at a bush and walk straight into a bush, and I kind of, they just had a light on my face and I had to pretend I was looking at some crazy world and I was just looking at a bunch of views. But no, it was really good. And the sets, they kind of made it so that you could kind of shoot 360 and kind of not have to shoot onto a green screen, which kind of, it really helped, yeah.
This is a question for all the actors, actually. I was wondering, when you're shooting His Dark Materials, are there particular notes you get from the director, from the writer, from the producers that you're never going to forget because they're so particular to His Dark Materials?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Yes.
Well, no, let Simone answer that.
I don't think we got any particular character notes. I think because we had the books to work from. I mean, that's a lot of source material.
There's always a Bible there to work from all the time, so you kind of draw from that for your character, don't you? So it's really I guess there's little tiny things you have to remember, that you've always got a demon. You know, there's little things like your snake's going to pop out of your sleeve. That was quite interesting. Your snake is coming out now. Yeah.
I think we did have like a very specific note, especially Arian and I, because we had demons. It was like, do not touch the demon at any point.
Yeah, do not touch it.
Your instinct would be like, oh, it's my soul, and they'd be like, no.
Yeah.
So it was probably the main thing we heard. Like,
there was one time in Bruce and myself where I kept slamming the tail of the monkey inside the door. That was really bad. I kept getting told off by that. I kept doing it over and over again. Watch out for the monkey.
I got Amir, don't play with the knife. Amir, stop playing with the knife. That's all I got, really. Yeah.
I don't run with scissors and
don't run with scissors. Yeah.
Don't play with knives.
Don't play with knives.
Ari, I was wondering if there was a particular real life personality or character that you're channeling when you're being this sinister Lord Boreal.
No, myself. Yes, myself. No, I think more. I kind of drew more about acting for my own demon. Really, I was really interested in my drama school. We used to do this thing called animal exercise, and the whole thing was to try and draw a character from an animal. And because we had this chance of playing with a demon, and my demon was a snake, I kept thinking, well, if I use that as a character external thing, then I'll get this kind of stillness, hypnotic stare, quite sinister, speak really quietly, keep it that the only time he ever does lose it is when he pounces. And so you kind of have this person who's contained and these emotions completely like torn up inside himself. So yeah, it's always about the snake, really.
Always about the snake.
Always about the snake. End of scene. That's it.
You interested in skulls? Did you know that people still do that? Drill holes in their heads.
They must be lunatics.
There's a name for it. I forgot what it's called.
Trepanning.
Are you a student in Oxford?
No, it says it there.
I wish I knew so much at your age. Charles.
Lizzie.
I'm a collector. I've donated various items to this place. Listen, if you ever want to know more about these artifacts...
Thanks.
Nice to meet you, Lizzie.
Simone, could you tell us a little bit about your character and her reaction to meeting Lyra for the first time? Obviously, Mary Malone is studying dark matter at Oxford University, but what do you think is going through her head when she first discovers even the concept of Lyra?
Well, it's great because when Lyra comes in, Mary's already in the middle of her own disaster because her funding has been taken away. And it's always quite nice to meet a character who's distracted because they've got something else going on. Mm-hmm. So when Lyra comes in, I think first of all, it's unusual to see a child wandering around a college. But also, as Daphne said earlier, like the worst things have happened to her. And she's in this really, really vulnerable place. And it's quite fortunate for her that the alethiometer has led her to a good grown-up, somebody who has empathy. And her world just gets turned upside down really, really quickly after she meets Lyra.
Hi. Can you please tell me where the physicist is?
Well, what kind of physicist are you after? Well, I do.
You're a scholar.
Believe it or not, I am, yeah.
What were you doing?
Oh, I'm watching, there's a nest of fledglings in the drain. Wrens. They come back every year. Sorry, you are?
Lara Silvertongue.
Mary Malone. You're not a student, are you?
Can you please tell me about dust?
Dust? What do you mean?
Well, we call it dust in my world. Or we also call it Rusakov particles. You ever heard of them?
In your world, in your school, you mean?
No. We're not allowed to study dust because the magisterium thinks it's original sin. They take children to the north, and now there's an opening. And my father is... I'm saying it all wrong. I didn't think it would be this difficult.
I'm not sure I'm who you're looking for, Lyra.
Yes. Yes, you are. I know you are.
Is there someone I can call to help your parents, or...?
No. This matters. This matters so much. You see, my friend was killed because of dust. I've traveled so far. I found myself here. And Jordan's gone. And I don't know where to go. I need to find out about dust, because if I don't find out about dust, it will all be for nothing. Richard's death will be for nothing. I miss him so much.
I'm sorry about your friend.
I need you to tell me about the particles you study. Please.
Okay. Okay.
We had a really interesting, every time we kept going into Mary Malone's world, it's like these two worlds crossing over. It's like there's so strange acting with like our kind of old school way of acting. And then we had this. I remember the first time we did a scene together, we were like, I want to do what you're doing. I just want to be a little bit more naturalistic. And you were like,
yeah, because it is, you know, because myself and Robin, who plays Oliver, you know, we're just doing all these scenes about funding and all that, and then suddenly, suddenly Lyra or Boreal are like, the acting has to be quite heightened because they come from this world where the stakes are huge, and Mary's like, oh, my funding. So it's very different styles of acting.
It was so different, yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about the Witch Queen? Because I've always wanted to ask, can we talk a little bit about the Witch Queen?
Two Witch Queens.
I do beg your pardon. You're absolutely right. The Witch Queens.
Were you talking to someone in the room then? I beg your pardon. You're absolutely right.
Who was the other Witch Queen? Do you mind?
I've got a Witch Queen right here. Hello.
Yeah, could you, I mean, I suppose I'm specifically referring to Ruta. What can you tell us about her and expanding that character as you conceived her?
It's interesting because actually, Ruta Skadi was in my first draft of episode 2 of series 1. So we'd always had Ruta in our heads, in the back of our heads, as a character that we really wanted to explore because of her relationship with Asriel and because of what she'd do to Serafina and what she'd challenge about Serafina. One of the wonderful things about Series 2 is that I'm not writing on my own, that we've got an incredible writing team, and our writing team, one of their central focuses were the witches, and doing justice to them. And so a story that started quite small grew and grew and grew. We had these incredible meetings where you know, these huge things were being discussed about what we could do to them and what we could challenge about them in order to really make them feel like they're real parts of the world. And I can take very little credit for where the story goes. That it's all the work of Francesca, Namzi, Lydia, and Sarah. That they really did make that story flower. And I love Ruta Skadi very, very much.
Looks amazing as well. Can we talk a little bit about the submarines? What was it like bringing them to life?
So the submarines are actually the idea of Joel Collins. So in season 1, we see the Magisterium on airships, which is their established mode of travel. And Joel thought that actually for the opening of season 2, we could ramp that up a bit. And so he created the interior of what's a kind of like 1960s-esque type interior of submarine, with the idea that the Magisterium, having heard these rumours that Azrael had ripped a hole through the sky, that they fast track it up north in a submarine to keep themselves safe, because they're not really very certain what it is they're going to be facing. And it creates just a very brooding atmosphere for these group of men to sit around discussing how they are going to hide from the rest of the world the fact that Azrael's blown a hole in the landscape, and how they're going to lie and say it's not really there or try and cover it up. And it felt giving them this enclosed space was a very good metaphor for these men in this tiny dark bubble.
Amir and Dafne, do you mind talking a little bit more about how one day there wasn't a Cittàgazze, and then suddenly in a car park near where you were working, there was a Cittàgazze? How did that feel? What was it like exploring it for the first time? Was there a little amount of time that you were allowed to just go and explore it for yourself?
Yeah, there was a day where before we started filming, we got to go into the set and just look about, see what it was like. And yeah, it was cool. For me, it was different because obviously I wasn't there for like the main shooting of season 1. So for me, it was kind of just like the trailers were never there for me. I wasn't obviously there. But it was crazy. It was the fact I'd never seen like a town been built like that. And it was so, I couldn't comprehend it at first.
For me, it was really weird because that was literally where my trailer was one year. So I remember I saw Cittàgazze first because I went to my trailer, and then I was like, why is there a town like where my trailer is? My driver was like, oh, sorry, wrong way. And then he took me to my actual trailer, and I was like, wait, can I see that? And they said, no, we're going to take you on a tour. And then we got taken on a tour with tons of other kids who were playing like Cittàgazze kids. So it was just basically me and Amir walking with like 4 security guys and hordes of like 7-year-old children around.
Yeah. All wearing high-vis vests and hats and stuff.
And yeah, it was really weird because it was literally what you said. For me, I went to Spain and then I came back and there was like this entire town. And it was crazy because it was so realistic. Like it had so much detail. Like you went inside shops and actually had things. The shops had the products they were selling, and it was just incredible to see like that suddenly for me without seeing the process of it. It wasn't there, and then it was, and it was just incredible.
Yeah,
and it was quite eerie to filming it as well, wasn't it? It was just like quite a, even when you walked, it had an atmosphere. It kind of had its own atmosphere, its own world compared to all the other sets. Really, it's quite.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, Dafne have marked our names on the wall, on one of the walls.
Oh, really? Where did you do that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, we were on set and we had time between takes, and Dafne was like, come here. I'm like, what? And she's like, look, and then she like carved her initials into the wall, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this as well. So there's a bit where it says AW and DK.
Oh, no.
Trying to find that. Hopefully you can see it in the series.
I love the idea that somewhere, like Simone says, there's a tag of Amir and Dafne.
Yeah.
Like properly just in your face, spray paint. Deal with
it. Can't film on that corner anymore.
Something's happened. The Spectres have done something, I don't know what.
They're in your room again.
Well, Parry.
Finally, someone else to talk to.
That's Pan.
And where's your demon?
How's it talking?
He does know not to touch me, right?
It's a talking animal.
No, it's not a talking animal. That's my demon.
You're what?
You don't have a demon?
I can't see one.
That's impossible.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No. Come on, Pan.
Lara Silverton. Wait.
Amir, can we talk a bit more about how you've had to come to terms with acting alongside with demons in a way that everyone else is a little bit more like, oh yeah, no big problem, it's a demon?
The demons are cool. Obviously, I don't have a demon, but it kind of I would love seeing it happen. I don't really have much scenes directly with Pan. There's one nice scene where Lyra's asleep and Pan and Will have this conversation about Lyra. And filming that was kind of the first time I got to properly interact with just me and a puppet, and it was really cool. The puppeteers, they make it so realistic, and it's so useful. And when you see it, how it looks in the end, actually at film school we were learning about VFX, and I used the example of the golden monkey as part of my project, because obviously they have like the puppet, and then you kind of get to see how it progresses to what it finally looks like. I just think it's amazing.
I love that you used in your school report the show that you were in.
That's actually so cool, isn't it?
I hope you got an A. If you didn't get an A, there is no justice.
I hope so.
Wrong. He's got it wrong. It's completely wrong. What are you talking about?
Imagine.
What a terrible example.
That'll be awkward.
Well, for you guys that obviously, I'm sorry, Simone, but everyone that was involved in the first series, what's it been like reacting to the fan interaction and people responding to the first series and the excitement that's building for the second one?
It feels great to know that the fans like it so much. And I can't wait for everyone to see the second series and what's in store for that.
It's been brilliant, because it's one of the things, these books are really treasured, and they're a broad read and they're a really deep read. Mm-hmm. And the fans know lots about the books, and we needed to take the fans with us and then introduce people who perhaps have not yet read the books to them through our television adaptation, and actually seeing people seeing the fans react to the season and seeing them work out what we were doing, in particular the kind of the breadcrumb trail we led to the introduction of Will in season 1 that we lent into via having Boreal begin to cross through the worlds. And there was a sense of, what are they doing? And then we saw how it led to Will, and there was kind of like, oh, that's really good. And the fans of his Dark Materials are brilliant. They have, they're good hearts and lively minds, and it's been a great relief and an enormous pleasure to see them react.
And also, it's the thing of all the new fans, of people who've just watched the series and gone, wow, it's so amazing. They go off and read the books, and they're even more intrigued to find out what the next season's like. I mean, people do come up to me and say to me, if I hadn't seen the series, I definitely wouldn't have read the book. And so to me, that's amazing. I think that's what's really great about it, is that they feel as if it's so entrenched in this world now, and they want to talk about it in that way. And they feel as if all the themes about things they're going through at this moment in their life. So it's I think it's brilliant for that. I'm going to get loads of people to send me loads of emails or text messages about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. So I'm excited.
Thank you all so much for joining us for this today. It's been such a pleasure. Simone, Jack, Amir, Arian, Jane, and of course, Daphne. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 The BFI and Radio Times would like to thank everybody who made this happen, especially everyone at BBC, HBO, Bad Wolf, and Ian Johnson PR.